You ever get that feeling that something's coming for you? Not danger, not doom, something else. A message. A whisper that keeps circling your mind, tapping at the edge of your thoughts, refusing to wait its turn. You try to shake it off, pretend it's nothing, but it keeps coming back, louder, clearer, until you can almost hear it breathing beside you. It's not a coincidence. No, this message was meant for you. It's been crawling through time, through chaos, through every sleepless night you thought no one noticed, just to get here before Monday morning. Because when Monday hits, everything changes. Urgency. Now that's a word people love to pretend they understand. They throw it around like it's motivation, like it's caffeine for the soul. But urgency, real urgency, isn't polite. It doesn't knock. It doesn't ask for permission. It storms in, flips your life upside down, and demands to know what you've been waiting for. It whispers in your ear when you try to rest, laughs when you say later, and stares you down until you can't breathe without feeling its weight. Most people spend their lives waiting for the perfect time, the right day, the right sign, but the truth is, time doesn't wait. It doesn't care about your mood, your comfort, your little list of excuses. Time moves, and urgency, urgency is what keeps you from getting crushed beneath it. You see, there's something strange about the human heart. It beats every second like a clock, ticking down your chances, reminding you that every hesitation, every pause, every breath wasted on maybe tomorrow is one you don't get back. But people don't hear it. They drown it out with noise scrolls, laughs, distractions, anything that keeps them from feeling how fast everything's slipping through their fingers. Urgency is that voice that cuts through the noise, the one that screams, now, not later, not when it's safe, not when it's easy. It's the only thing powerful enough to shake you awake before your dreams rot into regrets. When urgency hits you, it doesn't feel comfortable. It's not supposed to. It's supposed to rattle your bones, make your hands tremble, your mind race, your pulse pound in your ears. That's how you know it's real. That's how you know something inside you is still alive. Because urgency doesn't visit the dead, it visits the ones who are still capable of becoming something. It finds you in your hesitation, in your boredom, in that tiny, miserable space between what you want and what you're too afraid to chase. And it asks one simple question: how much longer are you going to waste? People talk about potential like it's some endless supply, like they can draw from it whenever they please. They don't realize it expires. It fades. It rots the moment you stop feeding it with action. Urgency is the alarm that screams before it's too late, the warning before the light goes out. It tells you there's something waiting on the other side of hesitation, something fierce, something raw, something that doesn't exist for the lazy or the cautious. It's not a feeling you invite. It's a storm that breaks the door because it knows if it doesn't, you'll stay asleep forever. And here's the beautiful, brutal truth. Urgency doesn't care about how ready you feel. Readiness is an illusion. People keep saying, I'll start when I'm ready. They never are. They never will be. Urgency laughs at the word ready. It knows the moment you move, you become ready. Not before. Never before. The act of doing, of leaping, of throwing yourself into the unknown is what makes you prepared. Urgency teaches you that lesson in the most uncomfortable way possible. It rips away the safety nets, burns the bridges behind you, and forces you to either rise or fall. And in that pressure, that chaos, that madness, something extraordinary happens. You wake up. The world rewards the ones who move fast, the ones who don't wait for permission. Because urgency is energy. It feeds momentum. It sparks inspiration. It keeps the fire burning when everything else fades. Every great moment, every miracle, every breakthrough was born out of urgency. The need to act, the refusal to wait, the awareness that if they didn't move now, they might never get the chance again. That's what urgency really is, the quiet realization that tomorrow isn't promised, that opportunity doesn't circle back, that hesitation is the slowest form of death. And when urgency truly grips you, when you finally stop treating it like a threat and start treating it like a lifeline, the world shifts. You stop overthinking, you stop doubting, you stop apologizing for wanting more. You start moving with purpose, breathing with intent, speaking like every word matters, because it does. Everything matters when you understand how little time there is. Urgency strips you of excuses, tears down your comfort, and shows you the truth. No one's coming to save you. No miracle, no sign, no moment of perfect clarity. Just this second, this chance, this heartbeat that could be the last before everything changes. And when you feel that, when you really feel it in your chest, you realize urgency isn't the enemy, it's the invitation. The one that's been waiting at your door, pounding, whispering, begging for you to finally answer before Monday morning comes and takes your chance with it. Procrastination. That sweet little poison. It doesn't come screaming, doesn't kick down the door. No, it slips in quietly, whispering soft lies like, "You've got time. Just one more break. You'll do it later." It's charming, really. It dresses itself up as comfort, as logic, as patience, and before you know it, it's sitting at your table, eating your hours, draining your energy, turning your fire into ash. The most dangerous thing about procrastination, it isn't what it takes. It's what it convinces you to give up willingly. It's the thief that smiles while you hand over your own time. You ever notice how easy it is to delay the important stuff? How you suddenly get motivated to clean, scroll, talk, do anything but the thing that actually matters. That's procrastination's masterpiece. It doesn't just distract you, it disguises itself as productivity. It makes you feel busy while you're standing still. It makes you feel safe while everything that could have been yours quietly slips away. And the saddest part, you don't even hear it leaving. You just wake up one day and realize the opportunity's gone, the door's closed, the moment's over. Divine timing, that's a funny thing. People think it's patient, eternal, forgiving. They say, if it's meant for me, it'll come back. What a joke. Divine timing isn't patient, it's precise. It shows up, knocks once, waits a heartbeat, and if you don't answer, it moves on. It finds someone else who's ready, someone who isn't busy making excuses. The universe doesn't wait for indecision. It rewards movement, boldness, madness. You either seize the moment, or it vanishes like smoke. And procrastination? It's the hand that pushes that moment away while you're too distracted to notice. People love to say they're waiting for the right time. They think that sounds wise, mature, responsible. But there is no right time. There's only now. The present, the messy, imperfect, unpredictable now. Everything else is a fantasy. A lie procrastination feeds you to keep you obedient. You think you're in control because you're planning, preparing, waiting, but you're not in control. You're stalled. You're paused. You're standing on a train track, staring at the lights, telling yourself you'll move when you're ready while the train's already coming. The cruelest part? Procrastination doesn't hurt at first. It's gentle. It lets you feel good about doing nothing. It gives you comfort while it kills you. It's the slow death of passion, the gradual dulling of your hunger, the erosion of everything you could have been. It doesn't destroy your dreams in one swing, it eats them piece by piece until you stop noticing their absence. You convince yourself you're okay, that you'll do it tomorrow, next week, next month, and then one day you realize the tomorrow you were waiting for doesn't exist anymore. It's gone. You traded it for comfort. Faith doesn't live where procrastination grows. Faith needs action, movement, decision. Faith isn't about sitting and hoping, it's about standing up even when you're terrified, even when you don't know what's next. Because the moment you move, even the smallest step, divine timing notices. It turns its head, it leans in, it whispers, there you are. But when you wait, when you delay, when you hesitate, it turns away. It doesn't punish you. It just forgets you exist. Because the world doesn't stop spinning for anyone who's scared to start. And yet, people cling to procrastination like it's safety. They wrap themselves in it. Call it planning, call it balance, call it self-care. But deep down, they know what it is. Fear wearing a mask, fear pretending to be reason. And the only way to break it is to act. Not tomorrow, not later. Now, the second you feel that resistance, that tiny voice saying not yet, that's your signal. That's the exact moment you have to move. Because that's when procrastination is strongest, when it's trying hardest to keep you still. And if you move right then, you break its grip. There's something almost electric about that moment, the shift from waiting to doing. It's messy, it's awkward, it's imperfect, but it's alive. It's the pulse of possibility rushing back into your veins. You feel the tension, the risk, the uncertainty. But beneath it all, there's power. Because when you act, you announce to the world that you're done waiting for permission, done waiting for timing, done waiting for comfort. You claim your place in the chaos. And in that instant, divine timing finds you again. Procrastination kills divine timing, not because time runs out, but because faith does. Every delay drains a little bit of belief, a little bit of magic, until you're left with nothing but excuses and regrets. But the ones who move, who decide, who act, even when it's inconvenient, they bend time. They meet destiny halfway. They don't wait for opportunity. They drag it into existence with their own hands. That's the secret no one tells you. Divine timing doesn't find the patient. It finds the prepared. It finds the daring. It finds the ones who don't wait for the right moment, because they know the right moment only exists after you decide to act. And procrastination, well, it can't survive that kind of madness. Every delay has a cost. People don't like to believe that. They think time is free, endless, merciful. They treat it like air, something they can waste without consequence. But time, oh time, is the most expensive thing you'll ever own. It doesn't send you a bill. It just quietly takes payment in pieces of your life. Every moment you hesitate, every decision you postpone, every dream you shelf for later, you pay for it. Not with money, with potential, with peace, with the version of yourself you could have become if you'd just moved when you had the chance. The cost isn't obvious at first. It hides behind comfort, disguised as rest, disguised as safety. You tell yourself it's fine, that you're being careful, patient, strategic. You tell yourself you're waiting for the right sign. But while you're waiting, the clock is bleeding out. Tick, tick, tick. The sound doesn't change, but the meaning does. Every tick is another opportunity buried, another chance swallowed by hesitation. You don't see it yet, but time is taking something from you. It always does. Delays feel harmless because they don't explode. They decay, slowly, softly, like rot beneath the surface. You think nothing's changed, but inside, something's dying. Your drive, your spark, your hunger, they fade with every moment you choose comfort over action. And one day, you wake up to find you're no longer the person who once dreamed. You've become someone who only remembers dreaming. That's the cost. You lose the version of you who believed it was possible. You trade the fire for ashes. Every delay steals momentum, and momentum once lost takes more than time to rebuild. It takes energy, courage, pain, the kind of pain most people avoid. That's why they keep delaying, thinking they'll start when it feels easier, when life calms down. But it never does. Life doesn't clear the path for you. It waits to see if you'll walk through the storm anyway. And when you don't, it moves on. The world doesn't stop for the hesitant. It rewards the ones who act while everyone else is thinking. The funny thing about delays is how logical they sound in your head. You convince yourself it's the smart thing to do. I'll start after I'm ready. I'll speak when I'm sure. I'll chase it when I have the time. And deep down, you know that's a lie. Because the right moment never comes. The stars never line up. The doors never open by themselves. Every person who ever made something happen did it in chaos, in doubt, in fear. They didn't wait for calm, they built in the storm. Every delay also carries interest, like debt. You push something off today, and tomorrow it costs double. You hesitate once, and the fear grows stronger. You skip one opportunity, and the next one feels smaller. It's never just one delay, it's a pattern, a quiet addiction. You start to think it's who you are. I'm just not ready yet. But that's not truth. That's time collecting payment. And the longer you wait, the higher the price becomes. You can measure the cost of delay by what it takes from your heart. The guilt that comes when you know you could have done more. The regret that crawls in when you see someone else living the life you were too scared to chase. That ache you feel in your chest when you realize the chance is gone. Not because it wasn't meant for you, but because you never showed up for it. That's the cost. It's not dramatic, it's quiet. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It says, you missed it. And you start to understand something cruel. The pain of action lasts a moment, but the pain of delay lasts forever. The sting of failure fades, but the weight of never trying it stays. It haunts. It follows you into every new beginning, whispering that you'll fail again. So why bother? That's how delay becomes destiny. It rewrites your story while you're too distracted to notice. But deep down, you feel it, don't you? That pull, that restlessness that refuses to let you sit still. That's the reminder, the warning. Every delay has a cost, and the price is rising with every breath you waste pretending you've got time. You can feel it in your bones, the moments slipping, the chances fading, the future you're meant to live moving one step further away each time you say, later. That's not just time passing, that's life leaving. Every delay is a trade, and you get to decide what you're willing to lose. Because time will always take something. The only question is whether it takes your fear or your future momentum. It's a strange thing, isn't it? It starts small, almost invisible, like a spark in a dark room. You barely notice it at first, a thought, a step, a decision. But then it grows. It feeds on motion, on effort, on madness. And before you know it, it becomes unstoppable. That's what people don't understand. Miracles don't appear out of thin air. They build quietly, patiently, brick by brick, second by second, until one day everything shifts and everyone calls it sudden. But there's nothing sudden about it. Momentum is what's been working behind the curtain the whole time. The funny thing is, people crave results but run from motion. They want change without chaos, growth without friction, blessings without burden. They pray for miracles, but they don't move. And that's the irony. The miracle doesn't come times because times you're ready. It comes times because times you move even when you're not. Momentum doesn't wait for confidence. It creates it. The second you take that first shaky step, something begins to wake up inside you. You feel it, the pulse, the rhythm, the current pulling you forward. That's the start of everything. See, the world doesn't reward the still. It rewards the ones who start, even if they stumble. Every great story began with someone who didn't know what they were doing, but did it anyway. That's how momentum is born, not in perfection, but in persistence. You trip, you fail, you bleed, and yet you keep going. Every action adds weight. Every choice adds speed. And soon you're no longer pushing, you're being carried. That's when miracles begin to notice you. Not when you sit and wish, but when you move and refuse to stop. Momentum doesn't care how small your effort looks. It doesn't need grand gestures or loud announcements. It feeds on consistency, tiny actions repeated until they echo. You might think no one sees, that it doesn't matter. But momentum sees. The universe sees. Every act of discipline, every moment you choose to keep going instead of quitting, it adds up. It becomes something you can't fake, something real, something magnetic. And eventually, everything around you begins to shift to match your movement. The dangerous part is the pause. That tiny moment when you think, I'll rest just for a bit. Because momentum dies in stillness. The longer you stop, the heavier everything becomes. The weight of doubt creeps in, the noise of fear gets louder, and suddenly the spark you had starts to fade. It's hard to notice until it's almost gone. That's how people lose it, not through failure, but through hesitation. You can't see momentum, but you can feel when it leaves. The silence grows louder, the fire cools, and you start to realize how hard it is to get it back. Momentum is built on trust. Trust that what you're doing matters even when no one claps. That's the test. The world goes quiet when you're building something great, almost as if it wants to see how much you really want it. Most people stop there. They mistake silence for failure. But silence isn't failure. It's momentum's cocoon. It's where transformation happens, unseen, uncelebrated. If you can survive that silence, keep moving through it, something powerful starts to form faith. Not the kind you talk about, the kind you live. Momentum also attracts things you don't expect. The right people, the right timing, the right opportunities, they all show up once you start moving. It's like the universe doesn't trust talkers, it trusts movers. It doesn't respond to wishes, it responds to energy. You can't beg for blessings while standing still. You have to chase them. Show that you're serious, that you're willing to earn the miracle. Because miracles, they don't fall from the sky, they chase momentum. And the truth is, momentum has a mind of its own. Once it starts, it doesn't care if you're tired or scared. It drags you forward. It reshapes you. It burns away your hesitation. your excuses, your doubts. It forces you to become the kind of person who can handle the blessing you've been asking for. That's what people don't see. The movement changes you before the miracle finds you. You don't get what you want until you become someone who can keep it. And momentum is the fire that forges that version of you. But here's the cruel part: you have to start before you feel ready, and you have to keep going when it feels pointless. That's the secret. Momentum doesn't belong to the strongest or the smartest. It belongs to the stubborn, the ones who show up even when everything inside them screams stop, the ones who move while others sleep, the ones who keep swinging long after they should have quit. Because momentum doesn't respond to hope, it responds to hunger. And once it catches you, once it realizes you're not giving up, it starts to carry you faster than you ever imagined, straight toward the miracle that was waiting all along: gratitude. Such a simple word, yet most people don't really feel it. They say thank you with their mouths, but not with their hearts. They look at their lives, count what's missing, and forget what's still here. Gratitude isn't about pretending everything's perfect. It's about realizing that even in the mess, even in the madness, you're still breathing, still fighting, still given another shot to make it right. You see, gratitude doesn't wait for the storm to end. It smiles in the rain, knowing the storm itself is part of the plan. People spend their whole lives chasing what's next, the next win, the next dollar, the next validation. They sprint toward a horizon that never stops moving, and in doing so, they miss the ground beneath their feet. Gratitude slows you down. It forces you to see what you've been stepping over: the tiny victories, the people who stayed, the breath you didn't have to fight for. Gratitude turns what you have into enough, and enough into abundance. But it's hard to feel thankful when the world teaches you to crave more, when the noise around you screams that you're behind, that you're not good enough yet, that you need more to be happy. Gratitude is rebellion. It's looking at chaos and saying, I still have something left. It's funny how gratitude works. The more you give it, the more it gives back. It's not magic. It's momentum of the soul. You start focusing on what's right, and suddenly you start seeing more of it. You stop begging for miracles and start realizing they were already there. The sunrise that didn't have to come, the breath that didn't have to reach your lungs, the strength that somehow carried you through the days you thought would break you. Gratitude doesn't just anchor blessings, it multiplies them. The more thankful you are, the less room you leave for fear to live. Most people think gratitude is passive, soft, gentle, quiet. But real gratitude? It's wild. It's powerful. It's the kind that comes after loss, after heartbreak, after pain. It's the kind that says Monday. That word alone makes people sigh, groan, roll their eyes. It's almost become a ritual, hasn't it? Everyone dreading the day that's supposed to represent a beginning. Funny how that works. The world gave you a fresh start, and you turned it into punishment. But Monday was never the enemy. It's a test, a quiet little exam that separates the ones who mean what they say from the ones who just talk about changing their lives. Because Monday doesn't care about your plans, it cares about your proof. Most people treat Monday like a restart button, but it's not. It's a mirror. It reflects exactly what you did with the week before. If you spent it complaining, you'll wake up tired. If you spend it building, you'll wake up ready. Monday doesn't lie, it reveals. It shows who's serious and who's still sleeping with their eyes open. That's why it feels so heavy to some and so electric to others. It's not the day that's different, it's the person. You see, Monday doesn't reward the ones who wait for motivation to hit. It rewards the ones who built momentum while everyone else was resting. That's the real game. The ones who use Sunday to recharge their spirit, not to escape their purpose. The ones who go to bed with clarity, not regret. When Monday arrives, it doesn't surprise them, it obeys them, because they've trained their minds to move before the world does. They understand Monday isn't about time. It's about rhythm. The rhythm of discipline, of focus, of refusing to start over every week because they never stopped in the first place. Monday's the great pretender. It acts ordinary, but it's sacred. It's the gate between who you were and who you're becoming. Most people walk through it half asleep, dragging their doubts like chains, and wonder why nothing changes. But some, the rare few, walk through it like it's a battlefield. They wake up with a grin, not because it's easy, but because they know the world is still theirs to conquer. While everyone else hides behind coffee cups and excuses, they move. They don't talk about getting ready. They just are. Monday is where the dreamers crumble and the doers rise. It's where the talk ends and the truth begins. You can tell a lot about someone by how they treat it. The ones who dread it are prisoners of routine. The ones who respect it are architects of their destiny. Because Monday doesn't start the week, it sets the tone for it. You either walk in dragging the past behind you, or you walk in carrying the lessons that sharpened you. One version complains about what's coming. The other creates what's next. The secret no one wants to admit is that Monday doesn't change you, it exposes you. The same habits, the same fears, the same excuses, all replay in a new costume. You call it a fresh start, but if nothing inside you's changed, it's just the same story with a different page number. The world doesn't reset with the calendar. You do, or you don't. But when you finally start treating Monday like an opportunity instead of an obligation, something strange happens. The dread fades. The heaviness lifts. You start to see it for what it really is, a challenge, a stage, a signal that you're still alive and still in the game. It's not there to punish you for resting. It's there to remind you that time is moving, whether you are or not. And if you learn to move with it, to match its rhythm, it stops feeling like pressure and starts feeling like power. Monday isn't the beginning, it's the measurement. It tells you if you've been living with purpose or just passing the days. It's the checkpoint between intention and execution. Everyone has ideas on Saturday. Everyone's inspired on Sunday. But Monday asks, show me. It doesn't want your dreams. It wants your discipline. It doesn't care about your plans. It wants your proof. And that's why Monday feels different when you've made peace with your purpose. You stop seeing it as something to survive and start treating it as something to seize. You stop waking up heavy and start waking up hungry. Because once you realize Monday is the test of who you are. When no one's watching, when the world's barely waking up, it becomes your secret weapon. It's the day you set the tone, break the pattern, prove that you're not just hoping for change, you're becoming it. Funny thing about people, they always think losing someone means they did something wrong. They replay the memories, the laughter, the words, over and over, trying to find the exact moment it all slipped away. But what if it wasn't a mistake? What if it was a setup? What if the one you called special wasn't meant to stay but to shake you awake? You see, sometimes what feels like abandonment is actually protection. Sometimes the person you begged to stay was standing in the way of who you were meant to become. And maybe, just maybe, the reason God let them go is because you were never supposed to find peace in someone who couldn't carry your purpose. Loss is strange, isn't it? People think it's final, a clean cut, a punishment. But real loss is messy, sticky, lingering, like smoke that curls into every corner of your life and refuses to leave. You can't scrub it away, can't ignore it, can't bargain with it. It doesn't care about your tears, your anger, your begging. It sits there, quiet, patient, watching you stumble through your own mind until you realize it's not gone, it's working. Loss is not absence. Loss is redirection. And that's the cruel, beautiful trick that most people never see. Think about the moments you begged someone to stay. The calls, the messages, the late-night thoughts you replayed over and over, hoping for a rewind, a fix, a miracle. You think you lost them, but maybe you didn't. Maybe what you lost was a path that led nowhere, a road that would have trapped you in mediocrity, in patterns, in people who couldn't see your fire. Loss isn't a punishment. It's a hand pushing you toward something else, something better, something that shakes you awake and makes you realize that comfort isn't always the same as right. People cling to what's gone like a life raft in a storm. They replay the memories, the laughter, the shared secrets, and convince themselves that if they just hold on hard enough, the tide will turn, the world will bend, and everything will be the same. But here's the thing, holding on doesn't change what is. You can scream, you can plead, you can write every possible scenario in your head, but if something is meant to leave, it leaves. And the world has a way of replacing it, quietly, slowly, with something that actually fits the space it created. Loss forces a kind of honesty most people never want. It strips the illusion of permanence, the fantasy that life will always hand you what you want. It shows you what you're holding on to, what you're afraid to release, what you think defines you but really confines you, and that's terrifying. Terrifying because it's real, terrifying because it hurts, terrifying because the thing you wanted the most might have been the very thing keeping you from becoming who you're supposed to be. Redirection is cruel like that. It doesn't feel like a blessing in the moment. It feels like fire in your chest, like betrayal, like chaos. But chaos is necessary. Without it, you never see the edges of your own strength. Without it, you never learn what you can survive, what you can overcome, what you can build from the ashes. When someone leaves, the emptiness is loud, screaming, mocking. But inside that scream is a signal that says there's something else waiting, something bigger, something you can't see yet. And the cruel irony is that you don't notice it at first. You only feel the hole. You only feel the loss. But underneath, in the quiet, the space they left is fertile ground for growth, for change, for evolution. Redirection is subtle. It doesn't come with banners or announcements. It doesn't come with explanations. It's a nudge, a push, a quiet rearranging of the pieces, while you're still busy crying over the ones you thought were permanent. And if you're lucky, if you survive the pain, if you let yourself see through the fog, you start to notice. You start to see the threads, the patterns, the way life is aligning itself to something else, something you couldn't have reached if you'd held on. Most people never get it. They never see the wisdom in the departure. They never understand that letting go is not weakness, not failure, not rejection. It's preparation. It's clearing space for the right people, the right opportunities, the right moments. The one who left was never supposed to stay. They were a catalyst, a lesson, a shadow that sharpened your vision and taught you how to move through life with your eyes open. Loss, when you finally understand it, stops being a punishment and starts being a guide. It teaches patience, discernment, and resilience. It forces you to look at yourself, at your desires, at your fears, and ask the hard questions that comfort would never ask. It pushes you into action, into awareness, into a kind of growth that you can't fake. And the beauty of it, the dark, twisted beauty, is that the thing you thought was ending was really just the beginning in disguise. And every step you take away from what was lost is a step toward what was meant to be. People leave. Funny how we act like it's a surprise, like the world is cruel and life is unfair, when the truth is far messier, far more deliberate. Sometimes people leave because they're meant to, not because you failed, not because you weren't enough, but because their presence, their energy, their story in your life was never permanent. They had a role, a purpose, a function, and when that purpose is served, they're gone. That's the reality most people refuse to see. People leave to make space for growth, and it doesn't come wrapped in kindness. It comes raw, jagged, painful, and it demands you face yourself. It's uncomfortable to realize that someone you loved, someone you trusted, someone you thought was irreplaceable, was only ever meant to be temporary. People cling to permanence like it's a safety net, like the world owes them constancy. But the truth is, nothing stays. People come, people go, and if you can't let them leave when their time is up, you're left clinging to ghosts. And ghosts don't nourish you. Ghosts don't challenge you. Ghosts don't push you to grow. They just keep you small, stuck in a loop of what was instead of what could be. You ever notice how the absence of someone changes everything? The house feels bigger, the silence louder, the air sharper. That's intentional, in a way. Life clears the stage when it wants to introduce something new, something you can't see yet, something that requires the space left behind. People leave not to punish you, not to hurt you, but to create room for growth that could never happen if they stayed. They are the architects of your transformation, whether you like it or not. And if you resist that absence, if you fight the emptiness, you fight yourself. Growth is uncomfortable. Pain is uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. That's why most people miss it. They cry over the ones who left. They replay the good times. They blame themselves or fate or God or luck. And they fail to see the opportunity staring them in the face. Space opens up in your life when someone leaves. And that space is fertile ground. Fertile for learning, for self-discovery, for building the parts of yourself that couldn't exist while someone else's shadow was taking up room. People leaving is the universe's way of saying, it's time. Step into the emptiness. Make it yours. And it's not just about the space outside either. People leave to force you to grow inside. You suddenly notice your own strength, your own resilience, the things about yourself you never paid attention to because someone else was holding part of the spotlight. You realize you're capable of more, of deeper love, of fiercer independence. The absence teaches lessons no presence could. You begin to see your own worth in ways that comfort and familiarity never allowed. Most people panic when someone leaves. They see it as a threat, a loss of control, a reflection of inadequacy. But the clever ones, the ones who survive the heartbreak, they see it differently. They see the chance to evolve, to stretch, to fill the space with something authentic. They understand that the right people will come later, and the ones who left were never meant to stay, because if they had, you wouldn't have learned the lessons necessary to receive the next chapter. People leaving is the nudge, the push, the chaotic force that propels you forward when inertia threatens to trap you in mediocrity. It's funny how life works. The things that hurt the most often have the sharpest edge. They cut through your illusions, your denial, your self-deception. They force you to look at yourself in ways you wouldn't otherwise. When someone leaves, it's not rejection, it's revelation. The revelation that you are bigger than this moment, stronger than the loss, capable of filling the empty spaces with something better, something purer, something that aligns with the person you are becoming. And if you pay attention, if you really pay attention, the emptiness left behind becomes a teacher. It shapes your priorities, sharpens your focus, illuminates the path you were too distracted to see while someone else's presence softened the edges. People leaving isn't cruel, it's cunning. It's life's way of forcing evolution, demanding growth, and testing whether you're willing to step into the chaos of change rather than cling to what's comfortable. The ones who survive this, the ones who learn from it, they don't just endure, they transform. They understand the rhythm of life. People come, people go, and the ones who are meant to stay are drawn not by need, but by resonance. Those who leave were never permanent because permanence would have stunted you, blinded you, kept you small. And once you see that, once you finally feel it in the marrow of your bones, you stop clinging, you stop begging, you start moving, growing, becoming. Because people leave to make space for growth, and the moment you accept it, you realize the space is yours to fill pain. People hate it. They run from it, hide from it, medicate it, scroll past it, pretend it doesn't exist. But pain is a teacher, a cruel, relentless teacher that doesn't sugarcoat, doesn't wait for consent, doesn't care if you're ready. Most people think comfort teaches them lessons, that safety molds them into something strong. Ha! Comfort is a lie. Pain teaches what comfort cannot. It shows the raw edges, the hidden fractures, the parts of you that you'd never notice while wrapped in ease. It pushes, it shoves, it tears, and it leaves you standing there blinking in the rubble, wondering how you survived, not realizing you're stronger because of it. Think about the moments that hurt the most, the betrayals, the heartbreaks, the losses, the ones that made your chest ache, your mind spin, your nights endless. Those moments weren't mistakes. They were sharp, precise instruments designed to carve out something new in you, to cut away what was weak, what was unready, what was false. Pain doesn't destroy you, it reshapes you. It teaches you to recognize truth, to value authenticity, to see the people and opportunities worth holding and the ones you must let slip away. Comfort can lull you, but pain rips off the blindfold and leaves you raw, alive, and aware. Most people fear pain because it's uncomfortable, because it destabilizes the illusions they cling to, because it forces them to confront themselves. But fear of pain is exactly what makes it necessary. You can't evolve while hiding from it. You can't learn while numbing it. Pain reveals the parts of life and love and ambition that you'd never notice otherwise, the ones you keep pushing aside, the corners of your soul you ignore because it's easier to pretend you're fine than to stare into the cracks. Pain forces that stare, and in doing so, it makes you sharper, fiercer, more awake. The beauty of pain is in its honesty. Comfort whispers lies. It tells you that everything's fine, that you're safe, that tomorrow will sort itself out. Pain doesn't whisper. Pain screams. It bites. It burns. It makes it impossible to ignore what's wrong, what needs changing, what has been tolerated for too long. Pain exposes illusions, exposes weakness, exposes dependency and fear. And once it's exposed, there's no hiding. You have to face it. You have to move through it. You have to become something new on the other side. Pain also teaches timing. It forces patience. It forces awareness. It forces you to understand that some things cannot be rushed. Some people cannot be saved. Some chapters cannot be rewritten. The ones you think will stay forever may leave, and the ones you think are gone may return. The ones you think are cruel may be the ones carving the path you need. Pain teaches the calculus of life, the messy, beautiful arithmetic of loss, gain, trust, betrayal, and growth. Comfort doesn't teach that comfort only reassures. It only anesthetizes. It only delays the awakening that pain delivers in a brutal, unforgettable strike. People try to avoid the lessons of pain with excuses, distractions, and denials. They scroll, they numb, they drown in trivialities to avoid feeling it. But pain waits, patient, persistent, inevitable. It's the one constant that shapes the life of everyone who survives long enough to notice. And when you finally stop running, when you finally stop screaming at the universe for being cruel, you see it. Pain isn't punishment. It's preparation. It's the forge that burns away weakness, the storm that washes away illusion, the fire that molds something resilient, something alive, something capable of holding more than you thought possible. Pain is the crucible. It reveals who you are when everything is stripped away. It uncovers strength you didn't know existed. It clarifies priorities, sharpens vision, exposes reality, forces courage. Those who run from it remain small. Those who face it grow, evolve, and become dangerous in the sense that they cannot be fooled, they cannot be manipulated, they cannot be stopped by fear or loss or betrayal. Pain teaches what comfort cannot, because comfort only preserves. Pain transforms. Pain awakens. Pain prepares you to survive life on a level that most people never reach, because most people never let themselves feel it fully. And that's the paradox, the beautiful, twisted irony. The more it hurts, the more it teaches, the stronger you become. Every scar, every tear, every sleepless night is a lesson in disguise, a blueprint for resilience, a preparation for the next step that comfort could never provide. Pain doesn't just break you, it reshapes the very core of your being. And those who survive it, truly survive it, become something more than human, something unpredictable, something alive in ways the world cannot contiming. Oh, timing is a cruel, beautiful trick. People think they control it, that life bends to their schedule, that if they wait, everything will line up perfectly. Ha! The world doesn't wait. The stars don't pause. Opportunities don't linger politely until you're ready. Timing isn't patient. It's precise. It comes, it taps you on the shoulder, it knocks once, and if you aren't paying attention, if you hesitate, it's gone. Forever. Most people never notice the subtlety, the way life nudges them toward the people, the choices, the moments they need most, and instead, they fumble, they doubt, they hesitate, and the chance evaporates into thin air. Funny, isn't it? How we crave control. We plan, we strategize, we convince ourselves we're ready, but readiness is a lie. The world doesn't wait for your comfort. It waits for your courage. Timing rewards action, not preparation. The person who moves in chaos, who steps when their heart is trembling, who leaps before they're certain, that's the person timing meets. Everyone else is left staring, wondering why the door closed before they arrived. Timing is a test, and life, oh life, is the examiner. The moments that matter most don't announce themselves with fanfare. They whisper, they flicker, they tap you on the shoulder when you least expect it. That's why so many people miss them. They're looking for fireworks when they should be listening for a heartbeat. Timing is quiet, subtle, patient, but it doesn't wait forever. 1 second of hesitation, one tiny choice to stay in comfort, and the opportunity is gone. And yet, it's always moving, always shifting, always creating new openings for the ones who have the eyes to see it. Most people think they can force timing. They push, they plead, they manipulate. They try to bend the world to their desires. It never works. Timing cannot be forced. Timing cannot be rushed. The harder you try, the more you resist, the further it drifts. But the clever ones, the ones who pay attention, they understand its rhythm. They move with it, not against it. They act when it calls, they wait when it asks, and in doing so, they align themselves with the invisible current that carries them exactly where they need to be. Timing is also a cruel teacher. It shows up in heartbreak, in betrayal, in loss. It forces you to wait for the lessons you think you already know, to endure the pain you think you can't survive, to see the patterns you refuse to notice. People hate this kind of timing because it's uncomfortable, because it demands patience, because it strips away the illusion that life is simple. But the truth is, timing is never wrong. It's always leading you, nudging you, rearranging the pieces so that when the moment finally arrives, you are exactly where you're supposed to be, even if you didn't realize it at the time. The irony is delicious. People mourn lost opportunities, complain about missed chances, curse fate, and yet, all along, timing was doing its work. The person who left, the door that closed, the chance that slipped away, it was all preparation, all alignment, all moving you towards something you couldn't have reached otherwise. Timing is the quiet hand behind the chaos, the invisible architect of destiny, the reason why some people crash and burn while others rise from the rubble, smiling, alive, unstoppable. And here's the kicker, timing is impartial. It doesn't favor the deserving, it doesn't reward the lucky, it doesn't wait for your excuses. It rewards the awake, the aware, the willing, the ones who move, even when the world seems still. Timing is a dance, a rhythm, a pulse, and the more attuned you are, the more you feel it. You notice the signs, the nudges, the patterns. You understand that delay isn't denial, that absence isn't rejection, that waiting isn't wasted. Timing is teaching, testing, shaping, and the moment you grasp its rhythm, you step into the flow, and life stops being a series of random events and starts being a symphony of purpose. But most people never see it. They stumble through life, impatient, anxious, grasping, missing the subtle messages hidden in coincidences, in pauses, in people leaving or arriving. Timing doesn't shout. Timing whispers. And the ones who listen, the ones who act at the right moment, who pause when necessary, who jump when they feel the invisible nudge, those are the ones who live fully, who thrive, who find the doors opening just as they reach for them. Timing is never cruel. It's exact. precise, unforgiving, and only the ones who respect it, who understand it, who move in harmony with it, truly receive its gifts. Letting go, it sounds simple, doesn't it? People say it all the time like it's a polite suggestion, just let go. But letting go is messy, jagged, brutal. It cuts through your comfort, your illusions, your identity. Most people cling to what they shouldn't, to the familiar, to the safe, because letting go feels like losing a part of themselves. But here's the twist. The part you think you're losing was never yours to hold anyway. Sometimes, letting go is the only way to reclaim the parts of yourself that have been trapped in someone else's shadow. Think about it. You've held on to people, relationships, dreams, even habits that weigh you down. You've gripped them tight because the fear of losing them feels scarier than the pain they cause. But holding on isn't love. Holding on isn't strength. It's fear masquerading as hope. Letting go. Though letting go is courage. It's the willingness to step into the unknown, to trust that the emptiness left behind is fertile ground for growth, for something new, for something real. Letting go doesn't erase the past. It acknowledges it, learns from it, and then moves forward without dragging the baggage of regret behind. The hardest part of letting go is realizing that closure isn't always given, that people aren't always ready to say goodbye, that the world doesn't pause to make your pain comfortable. You have to do it yourself. You have to make the decision to release the grip, to stop replaying the conversations, the mistakes, the what-ifs. You have to stare at the emptiness and understand that it's not punishment. It's preparation. Letting go is the moment when you reclaim your power, when you stop asking for someone else's permission to be whole. Most people resist letting go because it requires honesty, brutal honesty. It forces you to look at your own desires, your own mistakes, your own complicity in holding on too long. It makes you face the truth, that sometimes people leave not because you weren't enough, but because their presence in your life had run its course. That the weight you carried wasn't theirs to lift. That the love, the friendship, the connection you fought to preserve was never meant to last forever. And accepting that truth, oh, that cuts deep. But it's also the beginning of freedom. Letting go also teaches perspective. It shows you what really matters, what was always worth keeping, and what was just an illusion you clung to because you were afraid of being alone, afraid of starting over, afraid of seeing yourself without someone else's reflection in your eyes. The emptiness that follows letting go is not a void. It's a mirror that shows your resilience, your strength, your capacity to heal and rebuild. People who never learn to let go remain trapped in the past, chained to ghosts, unable to step fully into their own lives. There's a rhythm to letting go. It doesn't happen all at once. It's messy. It's chaotic. One day you feel ready, and the next you're back in the cycle of doubt, fear, longing. That's normal. That's human. Letting go isn't a switch you flip. It's a process, a dance with pain and acceptance. Every tear, every moment of anger, every pang of missing someone is part of the curriculum. It's the universe teaching you that you can survive absence, that you can thrive in solitude, that you can rebuild yourself stronger than before. And here's the irony, letting go often opens doors you never saw. The space left behind is fertile for new connections, new opportunities, new experiences that align with the version of yourself you were always meant to become. The harder you grip, the more you miss. The looser your hold, the more life has room to fill your world with what belongs to you. Letting go is not giving up. It's claiming a future that was always waiting beyond the shadows of the past. Most people never master it. They hold, they cling, they resist, and they suffer quietly, endlessly. But the ones who embrace letting go, who stare at the void and step forward, anyway, they discover something remarkable. They discover power. They discover clarity. They discover that life isn't about what you can control, what you can hold, or who you can keep. Life is about moving, evolving, choosing yourself, and trusting that the universe always has room for those willing to release what no longer serves them. Letting go is the silent rebellion of the soul. It's the act of declaring that your life, your happiness, your growth will not be dictated by the presence or absence of another. It's the quiet fire that reshapes your destiny, forges resilience, and makes you unstoppable. Every release, every surrender, every decision to stop clutching at what's gone is a step toward freedom, a step toward the life you were always meant to claim, a step toward understanding that what leaves your hands often returns to you in ways far greater than you ever imagined.